Do you want to read
We got it.
do you want to redo the intro too? Because when we started recording last time, it got cut off. I don't know if you're editing and
I
splicing.
didn't know you. I didn't know you caught that.
Okay, got it. Welcome to the podcast. I'm the more voicer. I'm here with my co-host
I'm Jerome. Jerome Beats Go Hard on Instagram.
and our special guest, Nicole Starbuck Eris.
Like the coffee, but without the S on the end, Nicole Starbuck. Yes, yes.
All right, thank you for joining us again. This is part two. All right, so I'm gonna get right into it. I'm just gonna get right into it. So my first question in part two is um daily practices and balances. What daily practices or rituals do you recommend for maintaining spiritual and energetic balance in our fast-pacing lives?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. And the first thing I'll say is that your daily practices can shift and change over time. They can even be different day to day. If ever something feels like something you need to just mark off your to-do list, we've really lost the energy and momentum behind that. We've completely missed the point. But that being said, there are a couple of practices that I have that tend to say the same regardless of whatever else I'm doing. So one is treating my shower, and everyone should shower anyway, but treating my shower as an opportunity to wash away all of the energy from the day before, or just any energy that's no longer serving me. And then when I feel that I've cleared that, I visualize the water bringing in all the wealth, prosperity, health, abundance that I'm calling in for that day and beyond. So I get to use the element of water in a really beautiful way. I also like to be very intentional and mindful with my morning cup of coffee, although that's shifted now. It's not coffee. I use rasa, which is a mushroom coffee alternative. It's adaptogenic, so we don't get that high and low that comes with the use of caffeine. And it's very much an opportunity for me to check in, tune in, see how my mind, body, heart, and soul are doing, and then bring them into alignment as well. And then the other practice that I have that I really love is some form of movement throughout the day. So, for example, in between calls, if I'm feeling a little off or funky, or just to shake off and clear the energies of whoever I was talking to, I will use dance, I'll listen to music, or if I have enough time, I'll go for a walk and help shift and clear that as well.
Okay, so you drink mushroom type of coffee?
Yeah, I use adaptogenic coffee, so it's not actually coffee, it's mushrooms and different ones that are in there. I don't know all of them, but I've found that the my ability to deal with just the day-to-day stressors of life has been enhanced, and then I don't have that high and then that crash that comes with caffeine. So this has allowed me to get much more restful sleep, which means that I'm more alert and awake during the day.
Do you self-medicate with psychedelics, mushrooms, ayahuasca?
That's fun.
I have only ever had one experience with plant medicine. It was psilocybin mushrooms. This is where I got to talk to the Galactic Federation. So I got a visit from each of the
Wow.
starseed families. They brought me up to their throne room and gave me each one gave me their divine download. I guess I not that I have a problem with the word self-medicate, but with any substance or any ritual, if we're using it as a sort of band-aid or excuse rather than actually doing the soul work, even something as beneficial as plant medicine is a replacement for, say, something like anti-anxiety or depression. Like if we find ourselves continually turning to plant medicine to do the work for us, we're not actually doing it for ourselves.
Do you handle what is called blue lotus?
I tried that. Yeah. So that was interesting for me. I tried it in tea form. I had a friend of mine that gifted me a bag of the blue lotus flowers, and it was not as drastic as a shift as I was thinking, because I think I had it in my head it was going to be along the lines of, say, the psilocybin. But what I noticed is, for me, for anyone that's not familiar with the different clairs, so I'm primarily clairvoyant, but that means I can see clearly, but I'm also clairaudient, and which means I can hear, and then clairsentient, which means I can feel. Now I have the other clairs too, clairolfactance, which is clear smelling, clairgustant, which is clear tasting. But I had a conversation with spirit. I was like, can you please turn these off? Because all I ever smell is trash and all I ever taste is like blood in my mouth. So those were shut off for quite some time. But then when I started taking the Blue Lotus, what I noticed is those actual sensations were coming back through, but they were coming through in much more pleasant terms, like, oh, I smell roses and perfume, or oh, now I taste like cinnamon and sugar. And so I get
Yeah.
my senses have enhanced in that way. And something that's been coming through, and I don't know if it's the Blue Lotus, my experience with that, because I took it every day for like a week, the tea, until I finished the bag. My ability to go into a sort of psychedelic state without being on anything has been enhanced. So the other day I went to the bathroom and I noticed that the wall was actually like vibrating, and I could put my hand on the wall and it was like my hand was going through the wall. And that's something I'd only experienced with the mushrooms before. So I don't know if that's because the Blue Lotus may have enhanced my abilities, or if it's just because I'm, getting deeper and deeper into this journey. Could be both.
It sound like your frequency changed to the fourth dimension.
Change to something. Yeah, and then I was having a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday. So I've been having this experience. I have a hard time reading, like reading a book and reading, especially reading out loud, because the words actually jump around on the page. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, did I develop dyslexia or something and just didn't realize it? So I was looking into it. And apparently, in people who are clairvoyant, because of their ability to use creative visualization, it actually can shift and change how words appear, like not just on a book, but also on a screen. And so there's a link between supposed dyslexia and clairvoyant abilities, because of the center part of the brain that processes images. It can actually shift and change how words and images appear.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. You just learned something new.
Yes, definitely did.
I would like to know this conversation you have with the Galactic Federation.
Yeah, I know.
You love it. You love it.
So there were 18 starseed families. So before I got to talk to the Galactic Federation, I actually was shown the history of humanity, starting from the very beginning of the creation of the Earth to its eventual demise. And it was showing me stuff, and then it kind of paused halfway through, and it's like, oh, you're not ready. And I said, no, spirit, I'm ready. And so it starts showing me everything, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I was not ready. This was way too much. But it was too late, and it was happening. And then it got to the end, what some people would call the rapture or the apocalypse. And then each of the starseed systems started coming to him. And admittedly, I don't know all of their names. I know there's like Arcturian, Pleiadian. I'm actually from the Lyrian constellation. So all these different starseeds were coming to me one by one. Yeah, so they would kind of laser beam me up. So I'd go up, and then I was in their palace and their throne room, and then their particular prince, princess, ambassador, whoever it was that they had designated to talk to me, would come in. And it was kind of like each one had a sort of diamond that got placed into me, and they said, okay, like this is the wisdom we have for you. Now my human self, like looking back on this experience, like I couldn't tell you which each one said, but it's somewhere in my system, and they said it'll come out when it's meant to come out. So that's what they said. So I got to visit with each one of those. And yeah, that was my experience with the whole starseed system. Now I had met some of these different starseeds before, like one of them came in during that healing session with that lady at the retreat, but to get to meet with each one was pretty neat.
It sounds like the kids in Africa that they said there was a spaceship that came down, and they said it was a bunch of kids that witnessed this, and the aliens basically showed them basically the future. And they said all those kids ended up doing something that has to do, with humanity and working with trying to I guess like preserve the earth. But
Mm.
yeah, I forgot how the story
Oh, you familiar with
went.
that story? No,
No, I hadn't heard that, but I believe it.
I'm sending it to you.
Yeah.
All right, so um, how can someone discern that? How can someone discern between their intuition and regular thoughts or emotion, especially when making important life decisions?
Yeah. Oh, this is a great question. So, remember when I talked about disconnecting and unplugging from the matrix? We want to make sure that we've done that first so that our channel is clean and clear. And then the difference between our intuition and, say, regular thought. So, one is going to come from our higher self. That's the intuition. That's the part that's for our greatest good and highest potential. And then the mind often thinks in terms of, I mean, some people call it the ego, but it thinks in terms of keeping us safe, keeping us small, keeping us where it's familiar, right? So think about the intuition as that sort of nudge or niggle that is moving us forward in faith. Now, you can have some fear, but ultimately it's calling you in a direction that's going to stretch you. And then a quote unquote regular thought, because we've spent our whole lives plugged into the matrix, that regular thought is actually going to be what's going to hold you back or contract you in a deeper fear that's actually not yours, but because you're ingrained in this system. So I always bring things back to the body. If you think about feeling truth in your body, if I were to say the sky is blue, just notice what kind of feelings come through. So I tend to get a sort of tightening here in the center of my being, so between my chest and my stomach. And then if I say the sky is green, immediately I'm like, no, 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 the sky's not green. So when you start asking yourself these questions, bring it back to that body. Where do you feel truth? If, let's say for you, your truth is like a pounding in your chest, but a non-truth or a lie or something that's not for you is a sort of buzzing in your head. So when you start putting things through this filter, you can start to see, okay, this is my truth because I feel it in my gut, or I feel it in my heart, or wherever you feel truth. And then if it's a no for you, then just be aware of what the no is for you.
Okay, do you do yoga to like activate your chakras, your chakra, or your kundalini?
Yeah. I don't necessarily have to do yoga to align my chakras or awaken Kundalini energy, but I do yoga when I feel like I need to
Meditate.
shift, stretch, meditate. Yeah, like in the season that I'm in right now in my life, there were some things coming up in my personal life, and I I said, I'm gonna go pray and meditate. And so I'm up here and I'm sitting on my meditation pillow, and then I'll shift into some yoga, but then I'll shift into some ecstatic dance, and then I'm just laying on the floor meditating. So like that
Yeah.
whole process, it doesn't have to be just one modality. It's I'm really tuned into what does my body, what does my soul need right now here in this moment, and then I just allow that to come through as it wants to come through.
It sounds like you're basically just trying to think positive and block out the negative, like all the time. you know?
Oh, no, no, no. Let's not misunderstand. I will feel the negative too. I will sit with it.
Mm,
I will sit with it. Now this shift, this realization, like I know what you're talking about. It's like spiritual bypassing or toxic negativity, right? Where it's like, oh, that's negative. I'm just gonna like forget
yeah.
that. I found myself doing that. It was back in August, so right around the time my mom was selling her house. I was suddenly filled with intense grief, and I
Mm,
had no idea where it was coming from. I sensed that it was actually like not actually mine, but I didn't know where it was coming from. But rather than sitting with it, I was avoiding it. So I was filling on my calendar, like just booking a bunch of calls, like not actually sitting with it. Then I got about 2 weeks in and it was getting progressively worse. From Spirit made it very clear. It said, you need to just sit with it, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So I just sat down with it. And I was like, okay, like, what would you like for me to know from this? What am I supposed to learn from this? And it showed me how the grief that I was carrying actually wasn't mine, it was my mom's. And in that exact moment that I was meditating, like actually sitting down with it, she was signing the papers to sell her house. So she was letting go of a home that she had had for 19 years, which is a big deal because when I was growing up, we moved around a lot. And what I learned from that is it's okay to feel the depths of our emotions. It's okay to feel the darkness, because darkness doesn't necessarily mean evil. It's just an aspect of self that is asking to be explored. It's like the shadows. Like, we can only really feel the height of the joy to the extent that we feel the depth of our grief. But if we're afraid of feeling the inner darkness, feeling what you would say the negative emotions, then that means we're not really going to feel the great heights of bliss and joy and pleasure that we're seeking, because we're limiting our capacity to feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like like DMX said, you need joy to feel pain.
You do need joy to feel pain, though.
Yeah.
But you need pain to feel joy too.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Vice versa. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. You've been exploring empowerment for women at your summit. How can unlocking psychic potential specifically benefit women in today's world?
Yeah. I really appreciate this question, because so much of our world operates in toxic masculinity, and that's not just from men. That's all people have this idea just in today's society. Not all people, but most people in today's society have this idea that we have to earn it. We have to work hard. We have to achieve. We have to get the goals. And it's this idea of hustle and grind and strive and achieve. And it's very, it's toxic because it completely discredits and discounts the body, the emotions, and the feminine to a large degree. And every single person on this planet, male or female, has both feminine and masculine energy. But when we operate solely on one end of the spectrum, say what's so prevalent in today's society, the masculine energy, we're really losing touch with our roots. We're losing touch with source. We're losing touch with spirit and our higher selves, because we're not tuned into that feminine energy. And I see this all across the board. Women in my practice have spent their whole lives operating in this masculine energy, that when we actually let go, release that, and tune into the feminine, tune into the intuition, we realize it doesn't have to make logical sense to be true.
Yeah.
This is like the biggest thing that keeps coming up in my conversations, and God bless his heart, my husband, man, logical thinker, he wants to understand the why behind it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, how do you know? It's like, I just know. He's like, how do you have such faith? I just have faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I be needing to know the why too.
And that's okay, right? Like even me, my human, likes to argue, but I know ultimately I'm going to follow through, because God, source, spirit, the divine, whatever you want to call that higher power, is always right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I understand the why, then I can figure out the how.
But see, it's not our responsibility to figure out the how. Right? So God gives us the vision. So now we know we have a destination, and then we allow each step, which is the how, to be revealed in its own timing.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I honestly think if God gave us the whole roadmap and was like, okay, you're going to go here and then there and then do this and do that, we'd be like, heck no, that's too much work. Forget that.
Yeah. Yeah.
One step at a time, then we only have to take care of the next step.
It'll also just take out the joy of the journey.
Exactly.
Let's see. Share your strategies for maintaining a balance between spiritual and practical aspects in your life coaching.
Yeah. As I get deeper and deeper into this practice, there's becoming virtually no separation between the two. Spiritual life is the daily practice, the daily life, and the daily life is the spiritual practice. It's the same. It's like, I can't remember if it was before the recording or after, but you were asking me about priestessing and being a witch. Being a priestess isn't like going up into the temple and doing your worship and connecting with the divine like in isolation. It's stepping up and serving in every area of life. Work, business, interpersonal relationships, friendships, family, romance, kids, finances, every area. So there is no separation for me. And I'm seeing that more and more.
Is this your full-time job, or you something else?
Yeah, no, as of right now, this is what I do. Yeah.
So summits and seminars.
What's that?
So you do summits and seminars.
I do, yeah. So I like to participate in podcasts, participate in summits. I've hosted a summit. It's a lot of work. I have plans to do another one coming up in next year. I love in-person events and retreats. I love to host healing retreats. It was usually just for women, but this last one we had in September was for men and women. I do courses, self-study courses. I do group programs. I do one-on-one coaching.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything. Yeah.
Do this allow you to travel and, you know, see different places?
Oh man, that's on my radar. It's coming. It's coming soon. That's one of the things I want to build in is having retreats that I can do travel destinations and go to retreats with the season that we're in right now with building our family. Their kids are still little. So my travel is like, I'm going to go 3 hours to Austin, but in the near future, I would like to see that extend not just nationally, but internationally as well.
I thought you might have people that might request your time, like, hey, listen, can you come out here and, you know, host this seminar or something like that? So
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah, I'm talking to someone. She would like to book me for April for Sedona. So that's in Arizona. So it is a possibility.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is this if the circle? Do everybody get along? Cause you got witches, you got Wiccans, you got Druids, you got pagans. Like, do all y'all get along?
Yeah. Not always. So I'm a hostess of a Facebook group called the Conscious Collective, and we've had people in there that have different opinions on how things unfold and manifest. And I'm totally open to that. But where I draw the line is, are we being respectful in our presentation of our different beliefs, or are we resorting to intimidation, name calling, that kind of things, and just blatantly disregarding other people's integrity? And so when I see that happening, then I try and have a conversation. And if it's clear to me that this particular person is not an aligned fit for the group, then sometimes I do have to make the call of removing people. But it hasn't been that often. Like, out of a group of almost 1,000 people will just naturally leave on their own if it's not a fit. And I've only ever had to remove 2 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is only a few.
Yeah. It's only, in the grand scheme of things, that's nothing. What, two out of 1,000? I can't even math that, but it's a very, very small percentage.
Okay.
I only have a few more minutes before I have to go. If we have any.
All right. So one more question, and I'll let you go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my last question is, let's see, balancing the spiritual with the practical, and in fact, what daily rituals do you recommend for maintaining that balance in our hectic lives?
I think you asked that question.
I think we did ask that question. You asked me what are my practices?
Yes, they're your basic rituals, like but let me see. Let me just I'm finding a good one.
Yeah. I think he asked that question. Your day-to-day routine. Yeah.
Were you channeling the questions before we popped on, or do you ask everyone the same question?
Some of them are similar, so that's why I'm like picking through them. Some of them are similar from it. Okay, for someone attending your summit, what can they expect to take away from the experience, and how might it impact the journey of self-discovery and healing?
Love this question. So the summit that I'm envisioning for next year is going to be the Psychic Summit. I don't have a date announced yet, so stay tuned for that. But I would really love to bring in all types of psychics. I think you talked about misconceptions earlier. That's one of the misconceptions of my industry is we think that all psychics talk to the dead. It's not true. It's kind of like all all squares are rectangles, not all rectangles are squares. So psychic is just an umbrella term for anyone that experiences energy. We all experience energy, therefore we're all psychic. So I have this
Medium,
vision. What's
medium,
that?
mediums talk to the dead.
Yes, exactly. See, you know your psychics. So mediums are just one type of psychic. So you can have empaths, which feel with their body. I call myself a psychic empath because I'm very much about the body. You can be a channel, which means you're receiving messages from different energies and entities, angels, ancestors, ascended masters, power animals, etc. You can be an oracle, so you can be using divination tools to be able to receive messages and guidance. And then, of course, you have what most people think of psychic, which is the medium, which are the ones that
Yeah.
talk to disembodied spirits or people who've passed. Now, my vision for this summit is to bring in all types of psychics that have different flavors, tarot card readers, mediums, empaths, oh gosh, channels, like just all different kinds to share their journey and also practical tools and tips for people to develop these abilities within themselves. I see this as being a beautiful discovery and introduction to one of my signature courses and programs, which is the Psychic School. So we in the Psychic School actually take people, it's a 12-week journey. It's a combination hybrid approach from self-study component and group coaching. So my mission really is to normalize psychic intuition, where we can be having these kinds of conversations like how we've just had in open spaces without that fear of persecution, without that fear of like, oh, I'm weird. And I mean, I remember being in a coffee shop and talking to one of my colleagues who is a hypnosis practitioner about quantum energy, quantum healing, quantum leaping, that kind of thing. And this lady across from us was just like giving us this look like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, and I envision a world where we can have these conversations just in public and it's a normal thing. Not that it makes it any less special, but I want to see that for the world.
Yeah, I want to touch on something that you said. You mentioned divination. So it's different kinds of divinations. You got stars, you got coffee, you got bones,
Yeah.
water, crystal balls.
Yeah.
And different people, but people don't understand like either like your zodiac is basically divination. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I have interesting thoughts on this because when I was growing up, I was told, oh, if you do tarot cards, you do pendulum, that's evil, that's witchcraft, you're gonna burn, you're gonna go hell, right? And now that I've actually studied it, I understand that these are all just tools, they're extensions of your energy. They're only picking up on the vibrations that you're putting out. They're only telling you what you already know at some level. Now, I did it backwards when I started my psychic development journey. I started on pendulum and tarot, thinking that's how I'm going to develop my skills. Actually, what I teach now in psychic school is trusting the innate wisdom, the body, using your body as a divination rod. And then you can start using tools, because what I found out is that people can actually develop addictions to third-party tools like a pendulum and tarot cards because they think that it's the tool giving them the answers. Something like tarot cards, something like a pendulum, it's only going to read your energy, your vibration, and then that's how you're drawn to, say, a particular card, or that's why the pendulum moves a certain way.
Yeah.
So it's not like that's the thing that's giving you the answer. The answer is actually already inside of you. And so what I share and what I teach is how to learn how to decipher that for yourself without having to rely on the tool. Now you can use the tool for fun. Like today, before this call, I had an Ask Me Anything Q&A in my Facebook group, and we ended up doing tarot card readings, which is fine, but I didn't actually need the cards to do the reading. I could have done the reading without the cards, but some people just like the visual representation.
It's like the Ouija board.
Yeah. No, something like the Ouija board, right? Like you were talking about, throwing together different languages and like, what does that mean? Are we calling in evil spirits? I would recommend anyone that's interested in doing any type of work, divination, tarot, Ouija boards, that you be really, really clear on your intention of what you're wanting to call in and energetically protect yourself in whatever way resonates and aligns. What I teach is connecting into the earth below, the sky above. You're calling in on both energies. This is creating white light inside of you that then radiates out, that creates a sort of energetic force field. And you set the intention that you're only going to call in what's for your greatest good and highest potential, so that anything else doesn't come within your energy field.
Is this something that you would teach your kids, or would you let them choose their own path?
I would not personally use a Ouija board. That's just me. But it's not that I have like a fear around it. It's just that's not the path that I choose to go down. Now, as far as some of these other psychic practices, this is where like my husband and I have different opinions. My husband leans more towards the conservative religious approach. I'm more on what he calls the voodoo side, and I'm like, voodoo is a completely different thing that I don't do. But so I call it the mystical or the esoteric side. And I want to leave it very, very open to my kids and say, you know, this is what traditional religion believes. This is what the mystics and the metaphysical esoteric practitioners believe. You know, pick and choose what resonates with you. If they want to learn about some of these different healing modalities, like I do, like I know and do, great, I'm happy to show you. If that doesn't resonate, feel free to pick your own path. But in the same way that I wouldn't want religion pushed on my kids the way that it was pushed on me, I don't want to push psychic gifts and abilities on them.
Yeah.
Just because that's what I believe in. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much again, Nicole, for doing a part 2 with us. You know, it's very informational. Like, I wish I could keep doing it longer. I got more questions about hauntings, ghosts, everything.
Oh yeah, I know. Because I have a haunted house. We could have talked about that, but maybe another time. And then
another time, yes. Everyone's to return a favor. If you got a podcast or you want us to come to one of your summits or your events, I'm happy to do it. You know, I even get on a plane to come out there if I have to. You know, so thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Welcome to the Uncomfortable. Thank you for watching the Uncomfortable Podcast. I'm here with my host.
Oh, Chrome Beats, go hard.
And our special guest, Nicole Starbuck. And appreciate you so much for joining us. Very informational. The video should be out in probably 3 hours.
Oh, wow, that's quick. I was just going to ask, so you're on it.
Like 3 hours, all right? I'll send you a link once I've done posting it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, you guys. Appreciate your time and energy. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
You gotta remember to move the curse out the way.